All right, hello fourth grade, and we are on to another place value lesson, and we're going to be talking about rounding numbers, and we're going to be using place value to help us understand our numbers to round numbers. And we're going to be using starting on page 23 for this lesson. We're going to be going up to page 26. So I wanted to start with this chart first because I just think it's going to help it. This lesson banks on the fact that you remember how to round. And what I have found when I was teaching this lesson with the kiddos in school is some of them forgot how to round. So I wanted to make sure that that we did this lesson with this chart in mind before we jump right in. So our definition for rounding is to find the nearest 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, etc. We could go on, right? We could do millions, 10 millions, 100 millions, trillion, or billions, 10 billions, 100 billions. We could go on and on and on. For our purposes, we're pretty much only going to go up to the 100,000s place in fourth grade. But when we round, we're finding to the nearest one of these place values. So your very first step is to make sure you are identifying the place value you are rounding to, and then you're going to want to underline that number. So for example, if I have this number 478,456, I want to round this to the nearest 10,000. So my first step is to identify the place value and then underline it. Well, my 10,000s place is where my 7 is. So I'm going to underline it. And notice step 1 is in green. I've underlined in green so that way you can clearly see what step we are on. Okay, that's my first step. Step 2, now I'm on the orange step. Look at the number to the right. You're always going to look at the number to the right of the place you are rounding to. So it's always the lower place value. And you're going to circle it. So I underlined my 10,000s place. I'm going to, in this case, circle my thousands place. My thousands digit is going to be the bossy digit. My thousands digit is going to be the one to tell my 7 what to do. Okay? This will always be the bossy digit. Whatever digit is immediately to the right of the place value you are rounding to. So here's our rule. Our rule is if in this bossy digit, in this circle digit, there's a 0, a 1, a 2, or 3, or a 4, that digit is going to stay the same. So the digit we underlined will stay the same. He's going to tell him, listen, man, stay a 7 if it's a 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4. If the circled digit is a 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, it is going to be bossy and tell that 7 to, hey, man, he's going to kick him right in the booty and say, you got to go up one place value. You got to go up, get bigger by one digit. Okay, so the digit increases by 1. So in this case, if I look at my 8, my 8 is telling my 7 to do what? To increase by 1. So my 7 now becomes an 8. Every digit to the right of the place value you're rounding to turns to a 0. Every digit in front of or to the left of the place you're rounding to stays the same. So change all the digit to the right to a 0, and the digits to the left stay the same to the place you're rounding to. So this, for some reason, gets lost in translation. So I wanted to make sure that I explained this chart before we jumped in. That was one mistake I made with our in-school kiddos. So it's actually kind of worked out nicely that I was able to learn that lesson from them, and now I can apply it to you guys. So I'm going to just slide this chart behind me and out of the way a little bit. And I'm going to flip you down so we can get into our lesson now. So you can see that we need to use place value understanding to round numbers, which is what I just showed you on the chart. So after this lesson, you're going to be able to use place value understanding to round whole numbers. Sorry, I'm just going to zoom this in over here. So we're going to spark our learning first. In a class discussion, Anja says the total area of Alaska is about 700,000 square feet. Or square miles, I apologize. Sorry. Square miles when rounded to the nearest 100,000. Liam says the total area of Alaska is about 660 square miles when rounded to the nearest 10,000. Mr. DeAndre says they are both right. What can be the actual total area of Alaska? Well, what I want us to do is I want us to try to figure this out using a number line, because I think a number line will be the best way to help us figure out what number it could be. So if I have a number line, and I am going to break my number line up from 600,000 all the way up to 700,000. Because I know my number's got to be somewhere in between here, right? Because we've got Liam that says it's 660,000, and we have Anja who says it's 700,000. So it's got to be somewhere in between there at some point, right? So what would go right in the middle of my number line? Right in the middle of my number line would be 650,000. So I could break these up by what in between here? I could go 660, 670, 680, and 690, right? So Liam says the total area of Alaska is about 660,000. So this is where Liam's number would be, right? So Liam is here, and he says it's about 660,000. Anja is way up here. She says it's about 700,000. So the total area of the state could be between what two numbers do you think? Well, what digit would tell whatever digit is here to bump up? If I had a digit in the thousands place, right? I need to go up to 660,000. I could have a 5 in my 10,000s place and a 5 in my thousands place, right? That's the smallest number that I could round to get to 660,000. Or the smallest. And the 5 would also tell my 6 to become a 7. So then it could also be, I'm going to put this between, right in front of here. So it could be between 655,000 and, well, what digit could we go here that's going to keep us a 6? It would be a 4. And then any other digits could be back here. So the biggest we could go is to 999. So our rounded, and then the 6 would still tell my 6 to become a 7. But my 4 tells my 6 to stay the same. So it could be anywhere between these two numbers. Okay? This part is a little tricky. I'm not as happy with how they begin this lesson, but I still wanted to do it with you because I want you to see that it's somewhere between these two numbers that could get us to 660,000 and 700,000. Any number in between these two numbers. All right, let's get into actually doing some rounding. So what I'm going to do is we are going to read this lesson, read this page, but we're going to talk about it more than actually write all these numbers down. Okay? So, an organization is collecting spare change to donate to local charities. For the month of June, they collected 12,678 coins. About how many coins, rounded to the nearest 10,000, were collected in June? So we're going to skip right out of here, and I just want to talk about 12,678. So remember on my chart, first thing we have to do is underline the place value we're rounding to. We're rounding to the nearest 10,000s place. We have a 1 in the 10,000s place. Then I circle the place directly to the right of it, which is my thousands place in this case, and I have a 2. And what do I know about the 2? If I have a 0, a 2, a 0, a 1, a 2, a 3, or a 4, my number that I underline is going to stay the same. And then everything to the right of that number becomes a 0. So 12,678 rounded to the nearest 10,000s place is 10,000. So we're going to jump right down here. Rounded to the nearest 10,000 is 10,000. So the organization collected about 10,000 coins. Pretty much what we just did here is similar to this, except we're not using the number line and we're not using all the jargon that they're having you do. I find this is too wordy to explain basically just this. Okay? So that's why I jumped right to that. Because I think that's all you really need to know, is to be able to figure out where it rounds to. Alrighty, so step it out. When the coin collection period ends, there are 26,411 coins. How can you round 26,411 to the nearest 1,000? So again, I am not using this. I'm going to write my number over here, 26,411. I want to round to the nearest 1,000. What digit am I going to underline? I'm going to underline my 6. What digit am I going to circle? I'm going to circle my 4. My 4 is telling my 6 to do what? Remember, if I have a 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4, it's bossy and tells this 6 to stay the same. So my 6 is going to stay the same. Everything to the right becomes a 0. All 3 of these digits become a 0. Everything to the left stays. So 26,411 rounded to the nearest thousands place is 26,000. Again, I'm not leaving this jargon in here because it's just too wordy to explain rounding. So now here's where we can just use what we learned, right, in a more concise way. A restaurant serves 17,236 customers in May. To the nearest 1,000, how many customers does the restaurant serve? I have 17,236. What digit is in the thousands place? I hope you said a 7. That's the one I underline. What digit will I circle? I'm going to circle my 2. My 2 is bossy and tells my 7 to do what? All of these lower numbers, anything 4 and less, tells it to stay the same. All the digits to the right of the one I rounded to become a 0. All the digits to the left stay. So rounded to the nearest thousands place is 17,000 customers. About, right? We could add that word right in there because it's not exact. This is exactly how many they served. This is about. This is the rounded amount. All right, we are not drawing a number line. We are going to just use place value. So we can see they are not telling us. They already underlined the place value they want us to round to. So they want us to round to the 100,000s place for number 2. So my 4 is in the 100,000s place. So I'm going to go next door and I'm going to circle my 3. My 3 tells my 4 to do what? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 tells it to stay the same because I have a 3 here. And now everything from the circle to the right is going to become a 0. So rounded to the nearest 100,000s place is 400,000. The digit that is underlined here is the 7. That's the 10,000s place. I look next door to the lower place value to the right, my 6. Now remember, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9 is going to kick your number you underlined in the booty. It's going to say, get up there, get a little bigger. So that 6 told my 7 to become a 8. Everything to the right is a 0. And everything to the left, we keep. So 476,168 rounded to the nearest 10,000s place is 480,000. Okay. We are on your own. I'm already going to tell you right now. We are crossing off the 5 and we are crossing off the 6. And we're just going to do 4, 7, 8, and 9. So if you want to pause right here and do it on your own and then come back, you can to check your answers, or you can stay with me. The state of New York has a total area of 54,555 square miles. What is the total area of New York rounded to the nearest 10,000 square miles? So if I have 54,555, I want nearest 10,000. What digit will I underline? It's going to be one of the 5s, right? It's going to be the 5 in the 10,000s place. So it's the biggest 5 for in this case. What digit will I circle? I will circle my 4. So I'm going to circle the place value that's immediately to the right. My 4 tells my 5 to do what? Stay the same. And then everything to the right of my underlined digit becomes a 0. So 54,555 rounded to the nearest 10,000 is about 50,000. The reason why this is, I do a squiggly equal sign is because that squiggly equal sign means about. And now we're going to come down to 7, 8, and 9. So we're going to round to the place value that has been underlined. So for number 7, the place value that's been underlined is our 100,000s place. And we have a 6 in the 100,000s place. I look next door to my 1. My 1 tells my 6 to stay the same. Everything to the right becomes a 0, and there's nothing in front. Number 8. What place value are we rounding to for number 8? We are rounding to the thousands place. I'm going to look next door in the thousands place. And I see that next door in my thousands place I have a 5. My 5 tells my 3 to get bigger. It gives it a little kick in the booty. Everything to the right becomes a 0. Everything to the left, I'm going to keep. So 584,000. And finally, we have the 10,000s place that's been underlined. We are going to look next door to the thousands place and circle the 6. The 6 tells the 5 to get bigger, kick it into booty. Everything to the right of the underlined digit becomes a 0. Everything to the left stays the same. So what I want you to do about the homework sheet for this one, I actually am going to have you not do the homework sheet for this one. So I'm sure you're going to be very excited. So you do not, you can take that and you can throw it right in the trash. You do not have to do 1.4 or 1.5, I apologize, lesson 1.5 homework sheet, because it just is not the way I usually teach rounding. So we're going to just get rid of that sheet. We're not going to worry about it. I want you to remember how to round in this way and in this way. I'm going to show that chart again behind me. This is the way I want you to be rounding, okay? The other way is trying to give you an understanding of it, but it's a little sketchy. Oh, we need to focus. There we go, that's better. So you can just get rid of that lesson 1.5 homework sheet right in the trash. Alrighty, so like I said, next week I'm going to be giving you some review things to do. I will be sending that to you through Google Classroom. We will review next week, and then we will start a new module the week after. Alright, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I will be back with more videos for you next week. Alright, have a good day.